Hi, hello, welcome to another Project Isolation devlog. Before we get started, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for all the support and lovely comments on the last one. It really means a lot. Today, we're going to take a look at a new gun, talk about some UI, and finish up with a look at the world and kind of game design philosophy of Project Isolation. Before that though, I will admit, this month was a little bit slow. I spent most of it working on university assignments and among that trying to do what little I could for the game. It honestly left me pretty burnt out, so I took a bit of a break at the beginning of April. I really needed that, but let's get back to the game. I mentioned last time how I wanted to add a new gun to the game each devlog, as it's something that I feel is totally doable alongside other things, and it's good to keep me on track for adding a good variety of weapons to the game. This month, that gun was the Capist M45B, also known as the Swedish K. Now, you might be wondering, hey Ellie, why make another submachine gun? It's not a bad question. It might have seemed more reasonable to make a different type of weapon, given that the Sten already exists in the game. To answer that, I need to explain how weapons are broken down in Project Isolation. On one side we have standard weapons, such as the Sten, which use the game's attachment system to create a lot of unique variations. The Swedish K takes on another role. I've mentioned before that Project Isolation is open world, and as part of that I want to offer rewards to players who explore the world more thoroughly. The Capist is part of this set of reward weapons, which, as the name suggests, are rewards for completing environmental challenges or puzzles that have stats that are slightly higher than their standard counterparts. I think this creates a nice dynamic and gives players an incentive to explore. I am curious to hear what you guys think though, so sound off in the comments if you have any thoughts. Like the Sten, you can try it out in the demo. Unlike the Sten though, since it's not a standard weapon, you can't win it from a weapon dispenser. You'll have to save up $2,000 and then make your way to the small glass cage next to the weapon dispenser where you can free it and use it. This month, I also spent some time expanding the interaction systems I showed off in Devlog 2. They now support text that appears above the interaction indicator showing you what you're about to do or what weapon you're going to pick up. However, the most significant thing I did this month was go through and rewrite the game design document for Project Isolation. With all the progress over the last months, I wanted to set a lot of game design things in stone, and I'd like to show you some of these final ideas. The first thing I can show off is a top-down view of the game's world. You can see the clear definition between the intro, main game, and finale here from the top. These sections are further broken down into biomes, which naturally determine the aesthetics of these locations, but also a handful of unique gameplay elements. I can reveal the first two of these biomes right now. The starter area takes place in the humid forests biome, and it opens up into the mountain cliffs. There are several other biomes, but these have yet to be finalized. In the current timeline, the goal is to let you guys play the humid forest by the end of 2022. With the map and biomes set, I'd like to briefly touch on how I plan to fill them. I'm a big fan of the Valvean/Nintendo game design philosophies. For those who aren't familiar, on a very basic level, they look something like this. You introduce the player to a new mechanic, ideally in a safe environment, and then develop the mechanic in new ways over the course of the level. When the player reaches the end of the level, they're presented with a test of some description, perhaps a boss fight or a particularly challenging puzzle, which is there to test their mastery of the mechanic. There's one small problem you may have already seen. Both Valve and Nintendo make predominantly linear games, so how is Project Isolation going to use these principles? Let's take a look. Here's that map again. We're gonna focus on the central open world for now, ignoring the opening and ending sections. Rather than your standard open world,
go here and kill 300 bad guys while we download important documents over the world's slowest internet connection.
Ubisoft. Project Isolation features a set of objectives that will act much like a stage from a Mario game or a level from Half-Life. A new mechanic will be introduced, developed, tested, and then get discarded once the player leaves the hub. Each hub will have its own theme that will get developed. Right now, there are 4 major hubs in the open world, of which I'll share one in this devlog. There is a large research base just about smack dab in the middle of the valley. It serves as a fairly critical story beat for the game, and it's going to be a mix of puzzles and combat centered around the theme of electricity. Let's jump back to that 3-step Valve-Tendo philosophy. For the introduction, the player will be introduced to electricity and puddles by seeing a wire hanging over a puddle, sparks dancing over top, and a dead enemy in the puddle, locked behind a door. Nearby, a button will allow them to reroute the power from the puddle to the door, demonstrating the mechanic safely and letting them progress. This theme is developed throughout the stage with puzzles formed around rerouting power from harmful objects to doors and electrical locks. Upon reaching the central room, the player is placed into an arena, where in a fun twist, they can use these hazards against their enemies. After winning the fight and solving one last puzzle, they gain access to a secret room and the dark secrets hidden within. I can't really reveal more than that at the moment, but I hope that that's intriguing. That's going to be about it for this devlog, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Next time, we're going to add the game's first pistol, polish movement, and really finalize all the mechanics that have been introduced over the last devlogs, in preparation for adding AI to the game this summer. You can go try out all the new changes on itch.io, link in the description, and as always, you can find the code on GitHub. Happy development, and I'll see you next time.